Video opens with a dynamic montage, a spinning globe, close-ups of oil barrels stacked high, and a stark animated graph showing an oil price line rocketing upwards past previous historical peaks to a flashing 200 marker. The mood is tense and urgent. What if the lifeblood of our global economy, the very fuel that powers our world, suddenly became a luxury? This isn't just a distant possibility. It's a scenario economists are increasingly forced to consider. We're talking about a world where a single barrel of oil hits an unprecedented $200. The shockwaves would be immediate, powerful, and felt in every corner of the globe, triggering an economic crisis unlike any we've seen in the modern era. Forget gradual change. This would be a sudden, brutal reset of our daily lives and the global financial system. Scene shifts to visuals of everyday life under strain. A driver staring in disbelief at a gas pump with rapidly spinning numbers, long lines for buses and trains, and families turning down thermostats in their homes. For the average person, the first and most painful hit would be at the gas pump. Imagine your weekly fuel bill doubling or even tripling. The cost to heat your home during winter would skyrocket, forcing families into making difficult choices between warmth and other necessities. But the pain wouldn't stop there. Every single item on your grocery list, from a loaf of bread to a carton of milk, would become more expensive. Why? Because everything we buy has to be transported, and with fuel costs soaring, those transportation fees get passed directly on to you, the consumer. Your purchasing power would evaporate, and the cost of simply living would become a crushing burden for millions. Cut to scenes of industrial slowdown, assembly lines in a car factory moving sluggishly or stopped altogether, a cargo ship sitting idle in a port, a grounded fleet of commercial airplanes on an empty tarmac. The impact on industries would be just as devastating, if not more so. The transportation and logistics sectors, the arteries of global trade, would face an existential crisis. Airlines, shipping companies, and trucking firms would see their operational costs become unsustainable, leading to drastically reduced services and skyrocketing prices for moving goods. Manufacturing would grind to a halt as the energy required to run factories becomes prohibitively expensive. Businesses, especially small and medium-sized enterprises with thin margins, would face a brutal reckoning. Widespread closures would become inevitable, leading to mass layoffs and a sharp, painful spike in unemployment. The screen fills with animated infographics, a climbing inflation gauge glowing red, a plunging stock market ticker, and a world map showing major economies entering a recessionary state. This perfect storm of rising costs and failing businesses would unleash a powerful inflationary spiral. As the price of everything goes up, the value of money goes down. Central banks would be caught in a difficult bind, potentially raising interest rates to combat inflation, which would further choke off economic activity. Consumer spending, the engine of most modern economies, would plummet as people save what little they have for essentials. The result would be almost certain, a deep and prolonged global recession, far more severe than recent downturns, erasing years of economic growth and stability. Visuals of government buildings like the White House and the European Parliament. News tickers flash headlines. Governments debate fuel subsidies. Strategic petroleum reserves to be released. G7 pledges cooperation. Governments would be forced to intervene, but their options would be limited and fraught with peril. They might release strategic petroleum reserves to temporarily increase supply, but these are finite resources. Subsidies could be offered to consumers to ease the pain at the pump, but this would place an immense strain on national budgets, potentially leading to cuts in other essential services like healthcare and education. International cooperation would be crucial, yet history shows that during such crises, nations often turn inward, leading to protectionism and trade disputes that would only worsen the global economic picture. The video concludes with a somber montage, recapping the imagery of struggling consumers, idle factories, and anxious world leaders. The final shot is a slow zoom out from a single dark barrel of oil. In the end, a world of $200 oil is not merely a matter of higher prices. It is a scenario that threatens the very foundations of our interconnected global system. The consequences would be severe, far-reaching, and catastrophic for billions of people. This stark possibility underscores a critical lesson. Our over-reliance on a single, volatile energy source is a profound vulnerability. Building a resilient future demands a radical and urgent shift towards energy diversification, innovation, and a global economy that is no longer held hostage by the price of a barrel of oil.